And there we have the two again, Conor against Ed. And Conor's deck name only says Runic Bestial, which might make you think it's a similar version that, of course, Joshua Schmidt used to win YCS Bologna, for example. Not the previous one, but the one before that. But instead, Conor's is quite different because he's also, on top of that, including Azamina cards and Fiendsmith cards. So his extra deck is totally different, not really synchro summoning reliant anymore, but instead more so focusing on fusion summons.
I mean, you put up an easy negate there, and that added with the reliability and the draw engine of the Runics is going to cause some trouble in the grind game. The players have 2 losses or 3 draws so far, and there's still some chance for them to enter the top cut. Of course, high chances to enter day 2, which is also a goal that many players have.
Fun fact, Conor, who plays Runic Bestial, has only monsters in his hand, and Tepai has only spells in his hand.
That's unusual when you see a Runic deck starting without any kind of spell cards. But you see, in his deck there is plenty of them, but apparently they have not found their way into the opening hand. But yeah, generally speaking, it's always good as a Tenpai player to lose the die roll, right? Because you don't give away the information to your opponent just yet that you're playing a going second deck. Your opponent just wants to go first anyways, and therefore the surprise factor is going to be with Ed here, as his opponent is unaware of him being on a go second strategy. But of course, Conor is very aware of putting up a massive field, as we do see him going the Hollowed Azamina. And Hollowed Azamina sends the Deception to bring out his first Azamina extra deck monster, which is the Ilya Sylvia. Right away going for the one that is able to negate, interestingly enough. Sometimes you see them going for the Murcielago. Wait, that is Murcielago. My bad, this is Murcielago first. So Murcielago using the effect. I was wondering, because usually you try to go Murcielago and then Ilya Sylvia, which is probably going to be the game plan here along the lines of this turn. But let's see from Conor, going for the best Bestial possible. If you want to draw a Bestial, it's usually this one, because Magnamut is just going to replace itself in the end phase again.
With another monster, which makes it likelier to draw a spell card in the next turn.
At least that, yeah, you're right, for sure. If there is going to be a next turn, though, because we see Adstack, haven't even mentioned it so far. Of course, still the reigning European champion deck, being the Tenpai Dragon strategy. At this point, decently hit on the Forbidden Unlimited list, but still strong enough to compete here. Of course, by adding my most favorite Sky Striker cards. Which deck could not get any better by adding Sky Striker cards, obviously.
To be fair, Tenpai Sky Striker has some success during the previous YCS, so I'm really excited to see how it can adapt and, of course, play against the field that Runic Bestial will establish.
For sure, because the deck is definitely designed to play through fields. It's what it's supposed to do. It doesn't really play many hand interactions, it just relies on some breaking cards, and therefore I could see this going well.
I mean, you're saying Runic Bestial, but so far we've seen Azamina cards linked often to the Fiendsmith engine.
You're right, yeah. We're getting there, Leo.
Yeah.
Don't be greedy. Okay, and we have gotten access to spell cards, of course. Now we can go Requiem, equipping to the Lacrima, and that does absolutely look like we're going to go into Necroco Princess. Do we have a card we can discard to maybe draw for a card here? No, we just go for Engraver, putting back the Moon of the Closed Heaven. I think we're just going to... Yeah, we're just going to Exceed summon of these two.
Pilgrim Reaper, and now we start milling?
Yep. Nope. What is it going to be? It is, of course, going to be the usual DDD King. Oh, that's a very heads-up call, summoning this guy in defense position, playing around, of course, something possibly like a Lightning Storm. So we said Ed has the advantage of surprise, but maybe Conor and Ed sat next to each other in the previous round out in the field. Maybe Conor knows what's going on here, because usually in game number 1 at least, you do not summon this card in defense position, but rather in tech position. But here, it's very heads up and smart, but that's the field he has created. Honestly, this looks like something any kind of good Tenpai Sky Striker deck could break. Oh, let's start off nice.
Hilarious. It's so hilarious that this deck actually gives their opponent life points as well, just saying, hey, if I want to win the game this turn, 1,000 life points do not matter, 3,000 life points do not matter, I can even half my damage.
10,000! Give him all the life points. Trident Dragon can just get them all of the way anyways.
Picking up
and
more
when
spells.
3 spells are in the graveyard, Sky Striker's cards are going to be so much powerful.
Oh, what's next?
Well, this looks like an afterburner, but this is not the card that you want to activate necessarily when you have 2 cards in the graveyard and your opponent has a spell or trap card set.
I think we do just go for the Sales Ban first, maybe, because he's running the Sales Ban as well. To be fair, though, the Afterburner probably is getting negated by the Ilya Silviani. Oh, we do have Dark Hole! We may as well do that, of course.
Gonna bring that card up for everyone to read in case you don't know the card.
I mean, if people followed the coverage of the European Championship in the summer of last year, they are pretty aware of Dark Hole, of course, and we do negate the Dark Hole with the Ilya
Silviani. And now we have 3
Silviani.
spells in the graveyard.
That is gonna prove costly because there is triple tactics thrust in the hand of Ed. And
Indeed. Oh, we go Sales Ban first, though. And now I could imagine this possibly just going for Fiendsmith Requiem or for the Bestial in hand. Triple Tactic Thrust now as well. Ed has all the spell cards. And the good thing about this spell card is it can technically net him Engine if he just wants to get out the Terraforming. So Ed might finally reveal what kind of strategy he actually mainly is on here.
This could have called Ash Blossom as well.
Yeah, true. You're right. Good call.
That's actually very much reason. Oh, there is
the new altar of Engage.
Engage. This is so
favorite card of all time. Sky Striker, mobilize, engage. Sky Striker, enjoy us. Please engage with each other and search out that after. Oh no, that
engage
Widow Anchor. Oh, I think we drew into Sunken Kaiman there. Things are looking right for Ed right now.
Conor at this point only sees Sky Striker cards and is probably gonna think, okay, what do I do next turn? Why did he search Terraforming, by the way? How good is Area 0 in this matchup? Well, let me tell you something.
You're destroyed with Afterburners to special summon Ray.
There you go, Afterburner on the Caesar. Conor is seeing his field disappearing. The deception was known that it was set there, but still we may as well get rid of it. Hornet Jones is summoning out a token. There we have it.
Ed is playing with Conor at this point. He is Azamina deceiving him, really. Going for a token here, trying to possibly get out a negate. There's the Druid Worm.
Yeah, I mean, the first time that Ed actually has a monster on the field, therefore the Druid Worm finally becomes a quick effect on the opponent's turn, and we do decide to just banish the Magnamut here.
But I mean, the Druid Worm doesn't immediately do anything. You know that Ed has searched for the Widow Anchor. Oh, we're going Baldrake. That makes sense. But the Widow Anchor is kind of very good against this field now.
It is indeed. So let's see.
I think you just go Kagari, and whatever happens, happens.
Kagari, of course, most likely targeting the engage, of course, is now Conor facing the decision of whether he wants to use the Baldrake on this. So far, he has not seen anything but Tenpai cards. But honestly, when we are searching out the Terraforming, I think there is very, very, very solid reason to believe that this is not just pure Sky Strikers and rather the Tenpai Striker deck.
To be honest, it will be the same even if it's Sky Striker, he can just take engage, and if he is playing pure Sky Striker, he can just grab the Ray here.
Yeah, the only annoying thing here, though, is Druid Worm is sent to the graveyard without having another card that it can send to the graveyard then. Oh no, and now another engage, grabs another Widow Anchor. Ed is rolling here. He does not stop drawing cards. That is what this card is doing for years now.
At this point, he doesn't even need it anymore.
Yeah,
he's so set up for anything.
He already has both of the good one-offs here.
Yeah. Oh, talents as well. Look
we
at
may as well have a look there.
Takes out the Lubellion there. You are left with the talents in hand, and now nothing is stopping him from activating Terraforming, searching, Sangan summoning to just expect a scoop from his opponent. I'm just gonna say it, if Sangan summoning is on the field, this is a forfeit.
There technically still is the Lacrima in the graveyard with the Requiem, right? So
that does a lot versus a field with Sangan summoning?
I mean, possibly in the battle phase, but I don't even know whether Conor in his version of the deck even is playing the trap card, you know, because he is already playing so many different engines, so maybe he's just rather keeping the Fiendsmith engine a little bit smaller and therefore not playing Fiendsmith in Paradise, but we are probably going to see shortly here. We do go search out the Chandra, and the good thing is, when you do normal out the Chandra, you do have ways to just play around Fiendsmith of Paradise completely even, because when they can activate Fiendsmith of Paradise for the first time, you already have multiple Tenpai monsters on the field being able to dodge the effect and just synchro summon with them. So very, very heads-up play here. There is now the Chandra. You could even use the Baldrake here to go into Transcendence in the battle phase, having the Kaiman still. So Ed really having all the tools here. He's not worried about anything, just attacking. Conor Probably Conor is just asking himself, is he able to do 10,000 points of damage? Because that is quite a bit, of course.
I have a rough idea of how
same.
much damage Ed can do in this turn. Man, our host is doing a good job at this dragon strategy.
Yeah, he's a real Tenpai enjoyer. Now synchro summoning with Fadra and Chandra, bringing out the almighty Biden Dragon.
Gets out the Fadra, gets out the Chandra once again.
Yeah, look at that. This is already so much damage, and
Conor
Conor
is
is
smiling,
looking
yeah.
at us being like, yeah, I know what's going on here. I don't think we even attacked there. We just attack with the Transcendian, we can bring back the Biden, and that's all we need here, basically. Making completely sure Sangen Kaiman also activated. Conor is nodding, but he wants Ed to play it out.
He doesn't scoop here.
Yeah.
I'm now convinced that Conor is not the guy to scoop games.
I mean, he's playing a very unique deck, so it's common to get some info.
But that is no more info for him, as Ed is taking game number 1, showing us a massive display here. Why maybe the Sky Striker version of the Tenpai deck now is the way to go. As you were mentioning, in Orlando, that was the only Tenpai variant actually having success by, I think, going all the way into top 16 in the end. So definitely a deck to look out for. But
Basti, what's your opinion on this? Because I know that you've recently almost topped a regional with this, a really big one.
yeah, indeed. I did play the Fiendsmith Tenpai version of it, which is quite difficult, quite different from this one, to be honest. So now with the release of Supreme Darkness and the release of Eclipse Twins, which you have to face a lot, we saw that the Tenpai, not the Tenpai deck, the Raizir deck is so popular. I think that version of the deck got a little tougher to play, but this version here is dealing much better with Detonator, because you can just Ultimate Slayer it back into the extra deck, you can Wither Anchor take it. There's so many ways to deal with the cards, so I think this version right now of the deck is the way to go, and therefore also the version that is doing the best at the moment.
I mean, it's very good strategy during a big event like YCS Birmingham, since most of the time you probably win game 1, since no one's expect you to go second.
For sure. Absolutely.
And of course, post side deck, it's a lot of different matchups and things you can do.
Here's my question for you, though. You have played the Fiendsmith Tenpai deck, but you've also played a Breaker heavy variant.
Yes, I did.
How did you do versus Malice? Because I feel like once Malice has some setup, it's really hard to win against it.
It is, but you have to remember that the Malice deck is setting multiple cards to the spell and trap zone. So the breakers like Harpies, Feather Duster, and Lightning Storm actually are quite handy and useful against the Malice strategy. Still, though, I think against that deck specifically, you do definitely, at least in your side deck, want to have the answers such as Meowls, Molcharmy, Fuvalos, or Artifact Lancea, of course. Therefore, I think in the main deck, this might be the matchup you're most afraid of. Then after siding, though, it does become a lot better, of course.
I mean, if you're in the main deck able to search Lightning Storm or Harpy's Feather Duster off of Thrust, I think you also have some win conditions there. But yeah, you're right. Malice is a very tough matchup for many decks. Because it's just so incredibly resilient. But the big problem that Malice has is Lancea, is also Meowls and Fuvalos. Like, there are so many, I don't want to say choke points, but there are so many problem cards for Malice that it has to face that it's really hard for the deck to overcome those.
Yeah, I feel like the Molcharmies overall have brought like a completely new aspect into the game, because those are really hand interactions that make you question yourself on whether to continue with your turn or whether you're completely stopping it, and you really have to figure out lines how to play around those cards when they are resolving, and therefore they really brought some different level to the game again, I gotta say.
Yep, that's true. Also, it's like a little bit different from Maxi, where you can do some summons and don't have to give your opponent a draw for each one of them. But I think that our duelists are ready for game 2, so let's go right over to the table.
And of course, now also a pretty important question is, does Conor even want to go first? I mean, we saw what Ed was doing there going second. If you just let him start with all those striker cards, possibly just, that's the call, right? Going second against that. Ed is looking at his hand quite carefully, but it looks like Conor wants to go first. And this time, he's the one holding all spell cards there.
Both of these duelists, this is very blue.
Yeah.
Or green. I still haven't figured that out, to be honest.
Yeah, you've only been in this game for a while. Don't worry about it. So it does very much look like Conor is going first. And this time he does have access to the most powerful of the runic cards, to the runic fountain, and the branded regain now as well. And that's, of course, wow, that combination is actually insane. And now just imagine, is there any light and dark ones in the main deck of Ed? Probably not, right? because that would be extra value you get out of that regain already on the field. But we just search for Flashing Fire. That's fine.
Is that a metal bronze?
So next up, Runic Slumber.
Runic cards are very good against the pipe because at this moment a lot of cards are limited, so they can hit targets like Pydra, Cayman.
That's true.
Very much, very much.
If you don't hit them, it's still a risky game to play. But Hugin is a good. I mean, I like that the Runic cards can just at any point special summon monsters to prevent some damage.
Okay, we're drawing free here, and Conor just keeps on adding spell cards here, I believe. Now the Hugin resolving, getting the second copy of Runic Fountain. Honestly, it has been a while since I saw a Runic deck. Those strategies were not super popular, I think mainly due to the existence of Detonator in the game, because Detonator just does very, very well against Runic Fountain and can deal with it fantastically. Because even if the Runic players are chaining their quick spells to summon out Hugin, you can always just chain the Detonator again, so it does become really, really tough. Okay, Droll and Lockbird is in the deck of Ed. Both of them, three of them are gone now right away. And the Sangan summoning, one of those one-offs you don't want to get rid of. That's tough. Oh, and Ed does get to draw a card though through the droplet. And next up, we can draw some more cards.
The triple draw Lockbird would have been way better in the hand of Ed.
Oh yeah.
I won't say that much.
Honestly, at this point though, not drawing them actually is quite nice. Like getting them out of the way when you did not open them, I think is appreciated. But let's see here. Again,
Especially
Conor, no Azamina cards in sight.
And Conor has 2 talents in his hand, so Troll might be very, unique options right here.
I mean, Sangan Kaiman in hand, Pydra in hand. Pydra not really with the targets really anymore. But Ed has no answer to the face-down cards here.
Dark Hole for Hugin, that's quite a trade, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I mean, the thing is, Hugin is mandatory to activate in the graveyard, meaning if there is a triple tactic Talons or a triple tactic Thrust in the hand of Ed, that will be live with the... Wait, Hugin is mandatory though. I'm not making that up, right? I'm pretty sure it is mandatory. Now there's the drones.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is mandatory, and I think that is quite important because for sure Ed is playing triple tactic Talons.
And he has it in hand as well.
Oh yeah, there it is. Hugin goes into the extra deck, activates. Oh, he does even have it in the hand. Did you spot it? That's so much more important than even. Drones.
Or
bringing out.
Maybe I'm crazy. That's also possible. Okay. Because at the second glimpse, I didn't see it immediately anymore. Now we have a token already.
Oh, but there is Runic Tip for Conor. Is Conor going to maybe also get rid of the one of Chandra? That would be so massive. But no, another Pydra. Not having anything to do there in the deck anyways.
But I mean, this is gonna mean just way more banishes now. Because Tip just replaces itself, and once you have Fountain on the field, you can activate from hand at any time.
That is true. Okay. We do next up go for the Kagari. And honestly, I think Ed is fine taking this freezing curses on the Kagari because that's not the monster you necessarily need to resolve. You need the Tenpai cards, as we just saw in the last game, to finish the game off. And therefore that means we can't use freezing curses on a potential Chandra anymore. And still no Chandra gone. Ed still having access to this card in his deck. But Conor now with another 2 draws.
I think this is the point where you activate Talent, if Ed even realized that Hugin activated, which is a whole different story.
Yeah, it was a little bit messy with the Hugin going into the extra deck there, but...
that's it.
I think Ed has a
Yes,
idea
Ed knows
here.
his stuff, and he goes for the triple tactic Talons. Conor also reminded that that is now available. And we do just get rid of the Engraver there, seeing that there is nothing that Conor can activate from hand for the rest of the turn.
Runic Destruction was in there, I think, or it was maybe Metal Tronus. But if it was Runic Destruction, then there's also another lot.
Does he also have a Thrust?
Well, that would be... I mean, that wouldn't do too much. Yeah, I think so. But there is no monster on the side of Conor's field, so the Thrust won't probably do too much.
Oh,
now,
that's
a normal summon. It's a big one.
Odd one here because Ed is not activating the effect and the Kaiman is not banished yet. Therefore, now Conor knows there is definitely going to be a second Kaiman in the hand.
Something smells fishy here.
No, I think it's rather like it smells a bit burnt in here, right? It's the fire dragons going crazy, supported by the fire monster that is Kagari, of course, and we do get damage in here already before even activating the Kaiman.
Yeah, the biggest question is which card is set there on the side of Conor, because in hand there is nothing that he can use to stop the onslaught of Dragon Sangan Kaiman is being activated. It has to be a miracle card, but Conor is laughing, smiling through the pain possibly, because this is going to be a lot of damage. Chandra not banished, it is in the main deck, is going to be special summoned immediately because of the second effect of Sangan Kaiman. Chandra is now going to attack as well, I suppose.
Indeed, and then in the damage step, he can also use its effect. And there is still Fadra in the deck as well. And Conor really... Oh, there is V Flashing Fire, but we all know that are quick effects in the battle phase. So we can just chain the Pydra or the Chandra, getting out the Biden, and then Biden will be happily bringing back the Chandra again here. There it is.
Yep.
And Conor knows it. They all know attack Chandra, Chandra effect in the damage step. And with that father that we are about to summon, I think that's already enough damage on the field, meaning Ed and his Sky Striker Tenpai strategy will be advancing with a 6-2 record. So Tenpai Dragons are still able to get the fire going here in this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, you're pretty happy about that. Two of your favorite themes ever, Sky Striker and Tenpai Dragon. This is a very, very cool deck. I mean, there's not a lot of things in Yu-Gi-Oh! That are more fun than activating a bunch of spell cards, following them up with Sky Striker cards. I mean, nowadays, the pure Sky Striker deck is not the biggest powerhouse anymore. So if you can follow that up with a different kind of engine as well, and you're like, oh, I have my utility cards in the Sky Striker spells, but I'm going to draw into my big engine now
as well. And we have two opposite strategies. One that doesn't want to go to battle phase, and the ones that really needs to its battle phase.
I mean, let's be honest. Runic players want to go to battle phase. They are just not allowed. I don't think that anyone goes, hey, I don't really like the battle phase as a concept, so this is why I play Runic.
Yeah, that's true. But it was a little bit sad because we didn't really see the full potential, of course, of the deck that Conor brought here. So there's usually a bit more. We did not... I mean, we did see the DDD King High Caesar, but I feel like there had to be more.
It's also a DDD deck, but so I think that's what happens sometimes when you play 4 different engines in your deck. So main deck space can be tight as well. And if you play 4 different engines, I think it's only natural that at most games you can't access all 4 of them.
The thing though is, in game 2, he drew 5 cards of a Runic Fountain on his own turn, and he still didn't find anything to keep on going. Like, he honestly, we know how easily accessible the Fiendsmith engine is. You just need a second monster. All he needed was a second monster to go into the Moon of the Closed Heaven, and then...
He found Engraver.
Yeah, but
later.
On his opponent's turn, then, which was not as promising anymore, to be fair.
Man, Engraver should have been a quick effect. I mean,
from the deck.
Also wouldn't help, exactly, yeah.
Just from the hand,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Just do all the cards.
Yeah, sounds fair.
Do all the cards, sounds great. Yeah.
Absolutely, sounds fantastic. But no, the Tenpai Dragon deck is definitely something that can still catch people off guard. Yeah. And when I was experimenting with it, I realized how little you just actually need from it, because in the extra deck, basically all you need is a Biden Dragon, the Trident Dragon, and then the Transcendent. And that's like those 3 cards. I was asking this.
And the Kagari, of course.
I mean, no, you add the Kagari, but that's already kind of an add-on, actually.
Kagari is the best Tenpai card at the moment.
To be fair, that's why you do this. You can transition with the Sky Striker cards into the Tenpai cards, because when your opponent has a monster in attack position bigger than 1,850, you can just go Kagari plus the token, go into Hita. In the battle phase, Hita adds Genroku, and then Genroku is, of course, the card you can special summon when it is added off of the Hita. Therefore, that is actually a pretty valid reason to combine these engines, if there was not already too many good reasons to give you, because the breaking potential of the Striker cards is already immense, of
and
course.
Tenpai Masterclass here, right?
True, and also, like, I fell in love with Tenpai just recently. Before that, I was like, okay, the Field Breaker cards are not really my vibe, you know?
You didn't even tell me. That's great. Kind of the same family now.
But then I found out how people play it with the Fiendsmith engine. They're going like, hey, I'm playing very few Tenpai cards. Of course, also because of recent Forbidden and Limited lists. I'm playing some Fiendsmith cards. You know, I'm going to make it hard for my opponent to win on the first turn. They're going to try to break my field. They're going to have a diminished field afterwards. In the end phase, because I have ended on a seal as well, I'm just going to add Genroku. I'm going to do some effects already, set up for the next turn, and then battle phase. And this is a playstyle that I really, really enjoy.
Yeah, and I mean, the cool thing is also, the format seems like it is developing a little bit into a slower direction. For example, pure Ryziel is a very minimalistic and grindy deck, and therefore just having the ability, having the power in your deck to end a game so quickly is amazing, and is giving you a lot of upside on a lot of different matchups. But of course, we want to hear it from the 10-pie Sky Striker master himself. We want to hear it from our feature match winner, and I think Tom is ready with him in the analysis corner.
Thank you very much, Basti. I'm here with Ed, our winner. Ed, congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
How did you feel going into this round?
Incredibly nervous, and I have done since like round 4, but yeah, really good overall.
So do you think it was the nerves of the tournament, or do you think it was the nerves of the feature match? Are they all kind of combined together?
A bit of both. I was going X2, so I think one more loss, and I maybe wouldn't top or make day 2. So this was, I mean, every game from now is quite important. So yeah, just a lot of nerves, so a bit.
Well, yeah, of course, congratulations on your win. Do you want to tell us a little bit before we dive into the game about your deck choice overall? Why did you choose to take this deck? What do you think about it?
Sure. So it's obviously Sky Striker Tenpai. I think the draw engine's incredible. Getting 3 spells engrave is very easy when you open double up start more so. The draw pile is incredible. The deck isn't quite dead yet. It's on its last legs. But yeah, I wanted to play Tenpai, and I played Tenpai, and it's working out so far.
So do you think it's like a meta pick for you, or do you think it's just a deck that you really like, so you decided to bring?
I think it has a really good Ryziel matchup. Not so good into Malice, which is why I'm siding heavily for Malice. But Ryziel in particular, it's got quite a good matchup, so it felt like the right call for today.
Great. Well, let's have a look at the game a little bit. So if we dive into our first clip, I mean, we're just seeing you like riffing midway through this game, activating all these spell cards. So why don't you just talk us through it? So you had a few different cards to interact with your opponent's field, and you chose to lead with the Dark Hole there.
I wanted to get 3 spells engraved to activate Afterburners. I know it's only a deception, but it's just nice to get the full advantage of the card and pop a monster and a spell. I'm worried about Ash Blossom, hence the sales ban. Just in case I get Ash on Terraforming, or I think it's Thrust. Just want to be safe and play it as logical as I can.
So tell me about that card, because that's a really cool card. I've not seen it much before. I had to like Google it while I was watching the game to see what it did. So how did you find it?
It's quite controversial at my locals. A lot of people don't think it's a very good card. But I mean, I played it today and it worked out, so I can take that back and show them. I think it's really cool. Calling Ash, calling Droll, the biggest threats to the deck. Just don't have to worry about them, and it's a safety net.
So it sounds like you chose Ash Blossom there. Is that a common thing you've been choosing?
Yeah, Ash Blossom. Droll game 1 isn't as prevalent, so Ash Blossom's the one I'm going to be calling out just to play it safe. And
do you ever use it? Can you call cards on the field with it? Do you have to call Ash Blossom?
You can call Ryziel Detonator and then pop it. You can call Tons of the Eclipse, anything on the field.
So you've been using it in lots of different ways, or just mostly Ash?
Mostly Ash, but also Ryziel cards, any threats that I see to the deck.
So in the second game, I just wanted to ask, it's not a clip, but you got to go second. Is that what you wanted? Is that what you were expecting? Is that what other people have made you do?
It's been strange. I expect people to make me go second, make me go first, especially if they're on certain decks. I did side in Droll and Impulse, which can be used going first or second, just for a bit of flexibility. And I take out like 1 Dark Hole, 1 Lightning Storm, just on the off chance. I don't want to open 5 board breakers going first. You know, there is some thought to it, but not too much.
Okay, so that makes sense. So you kind of like hedge a little bit, but you're still largely geared for that going second strategy.
I want to go second. Hopefully they do semi-second. Worst case, I've got some cards to go first.
And do you think most people have made you go first or second?
Probably a mix. I'd say more so making me go first, but that's to be expected on Tenpai. And the games I do get to go second, they tend to go my way. So it's, yeah.
Well, fantastic. So if we have a look at the start of the next game now, I don't think we saw any runic cards.
No, not a single one.
So yeah, let's have a look at the clip. But I mean, it doesn't show too much. There's just some runic cards in play, right? But were you completely?
I was like, this is either the greatest smokescreen ever, or I don't know. But I was very shocked to see the runic cards, especially 3 in hand. Yeah, the opening turn.
So yeah, your opponent was actually just playing a runic deck. They just didn't see any runic cards, but. So here you used the Dark Hole, and then the Hugin went back to the extra deck a moment later. It seemed like you both missed it. Was it something you expected to happen, or was it like a happy accident?
I thought that the Hugin was a mandatory trigger to turn my Thrust on, which is why I Dark Holed it. And then when it went to Grave, I thought, oh, maybe I've got this wrong. Maybe it just stays in Grave, so Thrust isn't live. Luckily, the judge stepped in and said, no, it goes to extra deck. And then Thrust was live, and yeah.
Oh, well, fantastic. It's good to have the judges
Of
make sure
course
the
it is,
game,
yeah.
game goes through cleanly, as expected. So a moment later, you did get to use the talents to look at your opponent's
Yep.
hand. So when you saw your opponent's hand, how are you feeling?
No Ash Blossom, which is always fantastic. No interruption, so I was like, that's fine, I can carry on. And just play a lot more, not greedy, but just play knowing that there's no interruption in the hand at least.
So let's have a look at that final battle phase where you kind of resolved all your effects. You played very cleanly around your opponent's last interruption. Is that something you could tell going into it? That was how the battle phase was going to play out?
Yeah, annoyingly, the field spell was banished, so I opened Kaiman luckily, so if there was like an imperm or a negate, then I hit it anyway. Saw the lines.
Yeah, I mean, this looks like something you're very confident with, and probably have you been doing this all day? It seems very, very difficult once you get into the battle phase to interrupt your Tenpai monsters at all.
Yeah, navigating in the main phase is the hardest part. Once you get to battle, you get the Synchro 10. They can't respond to anything, they can't activate any effects. So you get to battle phase, you get to the Synchro 10, and you probably won.
Yeah, you'd think like quick play, anytime you can activate pinpoint removal would interrupt most decks, but Tenpai apparently not, so
Yeah.
very clean play. And, well, congratulations.
Thank you
and
so
you're
much.
moving on to the next round looking very, very strong. So well done again. And let's hand it back over to Ed to carry on.